There's moments in your lives where you wake up and you look in the mirror and you say, I hate my life. Everything's going wrong about my life. You realize I'm doing a pretty poor job of being the CEO of the universe. The universe really isn't cooperating with me very well. What is that? Why do we feel that way? The reason that we feel that way is because when we reject the Lord, when we are far from God, we are pushing ourselves against the wisdom that created the universe. The Lord structured the universe in a certain way. It has certain laws. There's certain common sense things that we need to know. There's certain facets of wisdom that we need to internalize. And when we push away from the Lord, our lives begin to suffer and we get more trials and more storms and more things go wrong for us. And so when we talk about getting a spiritual transformation, what we're actually leaning into is the wisdom of the Lord, the wisdom of the one who created the universe. And so we're not just getting close to God, we're getting close to the one who created the universe, and I think it'll improve every single area of our lives. And so when we ask the question, how do you experience a spiritual transformation? Maybe the better question to ask is, how is it that you get close to God? If you're far from God, how do you get near? That's a good question. Because there's been moments in my life, and I'm sure there's been moments in your life where you thought, I just don't feel as close to the Lord as I used to feel. I used to feel like he was, a better friend. When I would pray, I used to feel like he was listening. Now when I pray, I just feel like I'm talking to thin air. I don't feel the presence of the Lord. And so how do you how do you answer this question of what does it take to get close to God? Because the degree to which you are close to the Lord is the degree to which you're spiritually healthy. Your nearness to God determines the level of your transformation. You see this theme all throughout the scriptures. Every time a person would get close to the Lord, they would be transformed. Take the Apostle Paul, good example. The Apostle Paul was the author of our theme verse for the campaign. He went from being a religious terrorist to the apostle of love. He went from being someone who persecuted every Christian that he could get his hands on to procuring one of the most famous poems on love that's ever been written. He went from being a murderer to someone who's quoted in every Western wedding I've ever attended. How does that happen? It happens because he had a close encounter with the Lord. You ask Isaiah, it was an encounter with the Lord that transformed him. You look at Moses. Moses encountered the Lord. He got near to God, and his nearness to God literally transformed him. Physically, it changed his appearance. And some of us are wanting the same thing. We want to change the way we look. We want to change the way we feel. We want to change who we are. And that transformation comes when we get close, when we get near. So how do you get near the Lord? And the question is answered, I think, in narrative form in Luke 15.